Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ellen Red. I am the creator of Twin Flame Initiates, and I'm also a spiritual medium and an ascension guide. I'm coming on today to answer a question for somebody who asked me to talk a little bit about my journey with my divine counterpart in telepathy and how I became telepathic with my counterpart. And so I just wanted to go into that a little bit. I have this picture in the background so that you can kind of get a little bit of an idea of the experience that happens for the divine counterparts when they are initiated in the higher dimensions. So a lot of souls, when they go through spiritual evolution, they will get activated in higher consciousness as well as in higher dimensions. And that's how I met my twin flame. I had a 12-dimensional activation. I was taken out of my body and brought through lots of layers in the cosmos, and eventually met Source, and Source introduced me and my twin together, like you kind of see in this picture. So we were shown that we were these divine, basically angelic beings that were originally coded by God. And then we became resonant with each other, and then later on we met each other in the physical world and recognized that we were the energy that we had been introduced to in the other dimensions. So it's probably a lot to take in for some of you guys, but basically it's a very sacred journey. And so telepathically, he and I began to start to hear each other's voice within ourselves. I was in my kitchen and I started to just hear his voice, and it became louder and louder over time. And pretty soon it got to be where we were just having daily conversations as if we were standing right next to each other. So the more that I was getting activated and awakened by the source, I was also really tuning into his voice. And then, it took quite a while for us to understand that it was each other that we were hearing. And eventually we realized and recognized and had soul recognition of one another in the physical world as well. And then time went on and we went through a lot of ceremonials to reintegrate and go through Hyros Kamos. Hyros Kamos, sorry. Trying to explain the best way to you guys of describing something so sacred, because it's one of those things where, again, if you haven't experienced it, it's really easy to try to wrap your mind around it and imagine what it would be like, and maybe think that you had a similar experience or something. But when it happens, it's so completely beyond this world. It's going to take you out of your third density reality. You're not going to be a human anymore. You're not going to be in this plane anymore. And you're not going to be, making the decisions. You're really going to be in a state of surrender where you are then receiving what is your truth, as opposed to you thinking that you understand the truth, if that makes sense. So as far as the telepathic connection, the divine counterparts, they begin to connect with each other telepathically and in their higher consciousness and with more developed metaphysical gifts as they do their spiritual work. And that's really what brings the divine counterparts together, is doing that spiritual work, even in their own worlds. And then when they're ready, they're brought together. Not that they're perfect, but that they're going to come together and have certain codes activated so that they can honor the union of love and the right way, according to Source, not according to the human logic. So human logic and the way that the humans are doing things are very different than your true blueprint, your true codes. And because of that, humans keep repelling their true love because they're not in alignment with themselves. So they're kind of like avoiding it by default. And so as you begin to do your spiritual work and you really start to align with your soul, and you really start to be honest with yourself about things that maybe you're doing that really aren't true to you. They seem normal in the human world, but they're not true to your soul. And you really have to start to sort through those things to get more in alignment. And as you do that, you start to have a harmonic resonance with your energetic counterpart. And, as I mentioned, I was taken into the 12th dimension. I was activated fully. I came out of my body. He and I both came out of our bodies and met in a higher plane. And so without meeting physically, this happened. So we only knew each other's energy, and we had full soul recognition of one another's energy. And maybe a few months later, we became aware of each other online, and we recognized the energy within one another, and went through a lot of other layers of evolution there. So there's a lot of things going on that you're going to go through in that journey that aren't going to be the way that you might think. A lot of people are in third density consciousness and wrapping their mind around the twin flame conversation. And they're seeing it from a third density reality. And so for them, it's a very real twin flame connection in their third dimensional mind. But then, again, just like other information, you may get to a stage in your journey where you yourself shift into higher consciousness. And when you do, that being in your third density consciousness that you are resonating with, you're probably going to shift away from them. That's usually what happens, because when you're in that consciousness, you resonate with people in that consciousness. And when you shift out of it, you start to shift the people around you too. Either they're going to grow with you or they're not, but either way, it's going to show you whether, that being was meant to be there as a lesson, as opposed to being a higher consciousness partner. And so, unfortunately, in the human world, a lot of times, words like divine get desecrated. They're overused, they're misused, and everybody's using them, and people really are, they're just words to the humans. But divine counterparts means angelic, means it's your angelic mate. It means that it's your highest potential partner. And as much as everybody's doing a lot of work to get in their highest vibration, sometimes you think you're there, and then you might realize that you're still not there. That happens to all of us. So it's just one of those things where, as you keep going on in your evolution, you'll either grow together or you'll fall apart, depending on if that really is your divine counterpart. And so I hope that this information helped a little bit. I'm not even sure I'm going to share the video. I'll watch it later, but I just wanted to come on and try to touch up a little bit on that conversation. Again, the telepathy and the capacity to communicate in higher consciousness comes with your own developed skills. So it's not like it's just going to happen. Sometimes it does, you'll probably be sensing it, but you're not developed in it yet. And so a lot of it requires development within you and within your own self, growing in your spiritual gifts. Anyway, I hope that made sense, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.